this drive for ethanol, I mean, it has direct effect on everything that's going on the farm, because it's driving up fuel prices and it's driving up grain prices. I mean, that's the irony. It's like, you know, we're competing with it's weird. The vegetables are competing with like the SUVs that drive into our restaurant to come and eat. It's crazy because, you know, it's like, it's the hunger for fuel, and our whole food system is based on cheap fuel. I mean, it has been. There's no secret. It's like the great big American breadbasket is based on cheap fuel and cheap labor. And both those things sort of simultaneously, actually cheap fuel, cheap labor, and like a stable weather pattern, you know, and all three of those things are very quickly coming to an end. You know, stable weather pattern and cheap labor, you might argue, they won't affect the cost of food immediately. I might argue it, but I could understand that, you know, the global climate change isn't going to have direct effects right away, although some would argue that, and labor, you know, maybe we can deal with that for a few years without it really affecting. But there's no question that the rise in, you know, $100 barrel of oil that's been consistent doesn't have an effect. And we've seen it just over the last year. I mean, the price of food has gone through literally up 75% on the food index in just the last year and a half. That's having huge effects up and down the food chain. And grain, I mean, that's why I think, again, like the future of this whole movement is so positive, because and this is one aspect of it, but probably best to look at it that way. If you're in the beef cattle business, you know, and your whole mindset is based on feeding grain to your animal quickly and efficiently, getting them from a calf to a market weight to 1,200 to 1,400 pounds in as short a time as possible. As short a time, that's an economic incentive. As short a time as possible. To do that, you need to feed tremendous amounts of grain. Tremendous amounts of grain. You need to keep them in a feedlot where their waste becomes a problem that you have to deal with, and you deal with it through energy, through oil that gets transported to other places. All of it is based, the grain that's fed the animals is based on cheap oil. It's the whole thing. So all of a sudden, when cheap oil is not $20 a barrel or $40 a barrel, it's $100 a barrel, down the line, you are going to, if you're in that business, are going to have to look to other options or pass that price on to consumer. Now, what we're seeing in this short phase is passed on to the consumer. We're seeing this big increase in food prices. I don't think that's going to last. I don't think, you know, Americans consider it their rite of passage that we have cheap food. And so it seems to me like that falls right in the hands of the more sustainable farmer. And what I said to you before is that flavor, ecology, and economy all fall into the same line. And this is where we're going to see it, because beef cattle, going on that example, doesn't need grain. It's an herbivore. It's meant to eat grass. And where do we have the best grass in the world? Right here in New England, you know. And it seems to me like if you're a farmer, an animal farmer, and you have land around the Northeast, you know, you're going to have a comparative and competitive advantage very quickly in the next couple of years. That's exciting, because what's here, grass, is free, and the sun feeds the grass feeds the animals feeds us. It's a free system. No more sustainable than that. And it's going to be more expensive than the cheap beef that we've had. But cheap beef that we've had has been totally false and inhumane and ecologically unviable and economically unviable for this future system. And we're all going to see it, because, you know, the supply siders, like, you know, these conservative suppliers, they always say, you know, let the marketplace prevail. Let the market. That's what they always say about the food. You know, let the free market make this. Don't say you're this liberal, I support the small family farmer. Like, let the marketplace prevail. Well, this is what we're going to see now, is the marketplace is going to prevail. And these same people that have been saying all along are going to ask for subsidies and more political regulation to make sure that they stay, you know, these powerful food mongers, which controls our food system. And I think I really feel very positive. If I was a betting guy, and I'm not, but if I was a betting guy, I'd be betting on the people that have their eye more on the sun and more in a sustainable way, because it's going to be the cheapest food out there. I'm forgetting about the most flavorful.